Hey rock stars, this is your host Alana G. Welcome to the Uncapped Potential podcast. If you are a ready rebel, an entrepreneur, then this podcast is for you. It is time to tap into your uncapped potential. All right, welcome back, rock stars. This is your host Alana G, the Uncapped Potential podcast, here with another episode. Today, I'm going to be speaking about community. One of my favorite topics, actually, to be honest, because it's something that I've really found my nourishment is being in multiple different communities and learning how to coexist in community. I think as we're raised, and especially for me, we kind of get segregated. We kind of get put in our own separation of life and others, and we kind of think we're alone on the journey. So for me, when I was young, going to school, I was different. I was more of the freedom type, rebellious kind of woman that I still am today. However, that wasn't nurtured by the schooling system. It was more so made me feel like I was separated, that I was different, that I didn't have any skill sets, that I wasn't going to amount to anything, and that I didn't really have any value for that environment. Fast forward, to today, I've now been in multiple different communities with different intentions. Some are there to coexist, to learn how to live in community together. Some are there for business and wealth creation. Other communities are for fun and for freedom of expression, like the festival scene. But what I've learned from coexisting now in multiple different communities, I've seen things that work and things that don't work in moving forward as a community. So I wanted to share this because it's really important in business and as an entrepreneur to build community. It's something that if you don't want to do the journey alone and you want to be able to actually create impact, when you're building a team or a staff or anything like that, it actually is your community. You're building your community. That's the impact that you're creating in your business sphere. So when leading into community, you've got to look at the word. So being like short for communication, unity being unity. So it's where it's coming of everyone together. And so what works in community is when everyone is in unity, and how that looks is there's not just one leader in the community, because that becomes a cult. Is when one person is the leader and everyone is the followers. That's not really community. What community is where everyone gets a role and they can coexist and they can live together and grow together, and they have a similar vision for the existence of the space to be together. Many people in the, say, society world that has been separated and drawn apart from what community actually is, usually will look at community in that like, oh, it's a cult and there's some, crazy leader and they're ruling all of them, and that's how they exist. That's how they exist. And I've actually heard this so many times, especially when I first started my personal development journey. Me being part of a community that were like doing good in the world and wanting to achieve better things, like I was getting called like I was a part of a cult. It was like I was getting brainwashed to be there to grow. But that's not what community is about. Community is way more beautiful than that. It's actually the deliciousness of what coexistence feels like. And it means that you find out that you're not on your own and you're not doing it alone. There is leadership within the community, but not all the people have to be a leader all the time or not be a leader. Like it means the community chooses to be in leadership when they desire to be in leadership. And so some of the fundamentals of a really good community actually comes down to the Burning Man ethos. If you haven't heard of Burning Man ethos, I would highly recommend going and looking it up, because what I've found in the communities that I'm now in that work and that move towards where they want to go. So one of my communities is looking at purchasing land. We're not purchasing land as ownership of the land. We're doing it to allow the land to tell us what it needs. So it's really about coexisting with the land and also bringing in opportunities for community people in the world to come and experience coexisting on a land for a short period of time by having events there to really cultivate that knowing what it feels like to be in community where you exist and so does other people exist, and you get to live, how do you build harmony within that, and how do you live in that? So some of the ethos that comes from the Burning Man comes and filters out into all the great communities that I know. Immediacy is like, if you see something, it's not someone else's responsibility to pick that thing up. Just say it was something on the ground, you see it. Immediacy is like, oh, okay, I'm not going to go around and find someone else to do it. I'll just do it. Immediacy could be also something that you're feeling, and it's up to you to make that choice to act on that immediately, right? So that's immediacy. Leave no trace is by far one of the greatest, is like making sure that, wherever you are, when you're coexisting, that when you go, you leave it as it was when you arrived, and you respect the land or someone's space, whatever it may be. But you're not there as this punter, from the 3D Matrix world, coming in and just tearing up somebody else's land. Or actually, it's actually all of our land. It's everyone's responsibility. And just leaving it in a disgraceful form. You're actually leaving no trace, and sometimes it comes out better than when you go in, especially when everyone is partaking and being conscious. Self-responsibility is huge. So when each individual agrees to being self-responsible for themselves, so they're not rules, they're ethos, they're values. They're like, hey, this is our suggestion. Because when we know that everyone is in this suggestion of being self-responsible for themselves, then more likely harmony is going to be created. So having these guidelines or suggestions for people to understand that are healthy to them means that the community will be healthier as a whole, and that's what you want to create. So self-responsibility is one of those, and self-responsibility means that if you're going to choose to partake in something, make sure you choose your healthy version of partaking in that, like whatever that may be for you. Self-responsibility is something that I teach to my child in community as well. It's like, hey, if you need to drink water, go and drink water, because you are, you're in a community right now. You need to learn that it's self-responsibility. If you need food, you got to go look after yourself, find some food. There's lots of people around you. If you need food, just ask for it. So this is something that I love about community, is it creates abundance. When everyone comes in with that intention of contribution, which is another ethos, then the space creates abundance. So everyone bringing contribution and mindfulness that they are coexisting in a space. That is the main essence, I think, of community, is when everyone brings contribution. Bringing contribution to a community allows the space to create abundance, because in a physical form, let's just say food, for existence, if everyone brings food, then there's abundance of food. If someone brings a workshop, and another person brings, paints for the kids. And if someone brings, so maybe they bring something party for the adults. I don't know. Like, it becomes an abundant space, and everything gets to exist. So we never really have rules in community, but we have like guidelines and ethoses and boundaries, of how we behave. Because what do we do when someone does erupt into a behavior that doesn't fit the ethos of where we're going, the vision of the community, like community, unity. And this has happened. I've seen it happen a lot. I've seen some people abuse alcohol and drugs and get pretty funky in how they communicate with others in the community. Now, as a fact that there's no real leadership, it's like, okay, well, who steps in to support that situation? And because we are bringing unity, there's no like, hey, you get shunned out of this space. It's like, how can we address this with love so we can help this person rise? And that's really, again, based on a clear understanding that we are rising together, that we are growing together, that we are here cultivating community. I keep saying this word because that's what we're talking about, but we're cultivating community because we all want to grow, and we all want to expand, and we all want to be loved, and we all want to be nourished. We all want, each of our needs need to be met. And it allows for that in those spaces, because there's multiple different people coexisting. So you get to have love from all different angles and different ways, and needs get to be met in multiple different forms, like spiritually, emotionally, physically. It all gets to exist in the space because there's multiple people coming in. And that's the greatness of individuality in community, is that each individual person will have a thread that is needed because we're so uniquely different, and each individual thread allows for another perception or perspective or experience or knowledge to come into one space. So it's like so beautiful to be able to have that. And that's how tribes used to work. That's how, that's just pretty much how everyone used to live. And I don't think it was even that many years ago that we all lived that way. And then it kind of got destroyed. It was maybe 500 or something. It's not some crazy long number far away. It was still only, a few centuries ago that we all lived together, and now we're kind of all in our own individual jail, living in our own house and not having, even the energetic exchange of others to support us through, growth. Like we're literally putting ourselves in our own cell at times. So going back to when things go to shit, which can be looked at as going to shit or an opportunity of growth, how do we support someone to break through their own individual behaviors that actually are affecting others? And are they actually affecting others, or are others actually choosing to allow them to affect them? Again, this is the conversations that gets to start to coexist in community. And we always have gatherings or digital meetings like Zoom meetings, and we all get to share and express ourselves in the physical form. On my community land projects, we come together in a circle format, and it just becomes an open space to express yourself. So if you have any feelings around anything that may have happened that doesn't align with you, you can express that. Does that person have to change? No, it's up to them. It's truly up to them. Do you have to put up with it? No. Will you choose to? Possibly. Will you move yourself so you're comfortable? Possibly. Like, it's learning how to coexist so that we are understanding that every individual gets to be themselves. So when it doesn't really work is when someone is really purely in their ego and they are separating themselves from the community and thinking that their way gets to be the way. I have seen that come into community where people are like, it's out there's problem, it's not I'm allowed to do it this way and that way and blah, blah, blah. And of course they are perfectly fine. We love you. You can do it your way. We're not going to get affected by it. But hey, it is affecting this person and that person. And how, do you feel like it's supportive of your own self? Can you rise? Over and over again, I just see people break through. It's about consistency. Sometimes it's about safety. Sometimes it's, just being plugged in to remember why you're there. And so having the vision of that community being really clear, that when people come in, they know, okay, I'm here for this. I'm here because I want to expand. I'm here because I want to grow. I'm here because this is going to go beyond me. I'm relearning things. I'm unlearning things that society has taught me, which has disconnected me from people. What also doesn't work is when the community doesn't actually have a vision or a purpose. So I have and still am in some communities that don't have future steps. I actually have no idea why it exists, but it's for play, it's for fun, and it's a festival kind of crew, right? It's a festival community, and I receive other things in that community. I receive love, I've received friendship, I've received, safety when I see them because I've been around them, and we get to, cuddle up, and I get my needs met if I need like water or food and things like that at a festival. But it doesn't exist kind of towards anything. So what I've seen is people literally bursting out and ending up all over the place, not really in communication with each other, or just rarely in communication with each other, because there's no going somewhere point. And some people have left. Some people aren't respecting other people within the space because there's no really clear understanding of what it's for. So it's kind of turned into, just a friendship, like friendship groups, really. It's not really a community, even though that's what the vision, I think, when it first started was for. So it's kind of got a bit scattery and all over the shop, and, and that's just how it is. So it's really being mindful that if you're co-creating a community, like, what is your vision? What is your intention? Can you invest the souls that are coming to you and being attracted to you into the vision so that they partner with you, that they get to choose, that ethos with you and go with you in the journey. And it's so much more beautiful to do with people, especially in business and in entrepreneurism. It's so much better when, if you need to take some time out, that there's other people that are like, cool, I'll take on this role. Or, if someone's good at something like graphics or other skill sets, they can go, I'll take on that role. I'll take on this role. And you start to actually in business create an ecosystem where every need gets met in your business. Like just as in the physical, you get all the things you need met because you have created a community, and every individual person has a thread that matters, and that means something for the growth of the community. And when you bring people together from one person to three people, just even three people, that equals a community. That energetic exchange, being on point, being on mission, being on vision, is going to propel your business quicker and faster, and make impact, because you're not trying to hold the fort on your own. And it's just how energy works. So you can imagine when multiple thousands of people, like our digital space, just keep getting drawn in to this vortex, this community where we're like, come, be at my place, or if you need an interview, or, we literally are embodying this contribution of empowered energy. Like we're all in this together. Each of you are so fantastic just the way you are. You bring your individual thread. Let's do this together. We all rise, and we're all responsible for ourselves. We're all responsible for ourselves, but we're all in this together at the same time. And we can rely on our community to really hold us through whatever it is that we're going through, because we're all human and we all have ups and downs. And it's so nourishing when I go and be in community, and it's so nourishing when I get on my online community spaces, because together the energy is so much more different than being alone. So much more different. And it's scary sometimes to come out and be seen and allow love in, because it is a deep journey of letting people love you, for you. And I think that was the hardest part of me coming into community. I was like, oh my God, all these people love me. What? Really? I found that really challenging, because all of a sudden everyone's like, there's just love coming your way. Instead of me just giving out love, all of a sudden I'm also receiving love, and I'm being met in completely being okay in who I am. So I'm waking up when I used to maybe get in trouble because everyone's separated and there's no connection and depth to connection. When I would do something like, just say, behave in a way that someone else might not have liked, or saw as right in their mind, I would be shunned and shamed and made to feel guilty. Whereas in this space, the ethos creates this, you get to be loved, and if I have done something that may have rubbed someone up the other way, we just have a little conversation around it. It's not even that big deal. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, this made me feel this way. but I'm not requested to fucking change. I'm not requested to be anything but I am. And so receiving love is the greatest thing about community, is allowing people in and allowing multiple people in. And I'll tell you the benefits of having community, actually. This is something that I've really witnessed about myself, because I've only really been in community probably deeply for the last 3 years. Actively been in community, actively showed up in community, actively embodied the ethos of community, and been in multiple different communities. But what that's allowed me to do is know that whenever shit hits the fan, or if shit hits the fan with the way that the world's going, I can drive myself to somebody's land and live there and be free, be on land and be totally okay. If I needed something in my business, if something went to shit, I've got people I can call upon, and they'll be like, sure thing, let's do it. That's what community is that you literally just get to meet people of all walks of life, with all different talents and beauty and things that they know, have, share, and you get to share in all the resources. It seems so simple, but I guess it's so complex in ways that literally everything you need is there because you've created it with a bunch of people, because you've all committed to coming together as unity. So what's mine becomes theirs and theirs becomes mine, not in that I have to give it to them, not in that I should give that to them. Like, I still get to have my boundaries and what, do I want someone in my home? I get to also be my full self. However, I get to also offer, you know, friends and people resources that I have that they may not have, because I know when I need what they have, what they might want to, they will share that with me. So even this weekend, I'm packing up my house here and getting on the road. I have a team of people that are coming up to help me do that. Like, just driving up, and these are people from my community. They aren't my friends from my life here on the Gold Coast. They're people from my community, because that's the embodiment of living together. It's like, how can we help each other? How can we serve each other? What can we do for each other? Like, let's amplify our existence in our life by being in unity with each other here in this time that we're here. So yeah, I'd love to invite people to reach out to me. There's multiple ways that you can come and coexist in a community with me. There is a physical form. It's called the Village Matrix. It's a community that we all go to land and coexist. I really highly encourage that space, because it's like the embodiment space. This is where my daughter's grown the most, by teaching her ethos in that space, letting her be free, her fully expressed self, but also going, hey, you need to be self-responsible, and what can we contribute? Like, each time before we go, we come up with a workshop that she wants to do or contribute, or we do a teddy bears picnic. It's different every time. Like, we get to bring with us a creation that's gonna help us also be in our leadership, and make the whole experience a vibe. Like, we bring something and then we get to go on all the other journeys that other people have brought. So that's an in-person event, and I can get you a ticket to the next one. It's usually on the Gold Coast or the Sunny Coast. It is a vision to expand this across the globe. I know that there are other villages that are happening across the globe. We are right now creating memberships to support us to buy a land. So people are donating to these memberships so that we all come together to buy a land. We get to listen to the land. The land will tell us what it needs. We get to start to nourish the land, and the land will nourish us. So we'll, if the land says it can have food for forest there, or syntropic, or permaculture, we'll listen to that and we'll bring back to community together to create that, and then the food will go back out to community. But it'll also be a land to create workshops or events, or hold ceremonies. Whatever the land is needed for, we'll discover along the way. But it's not about us owning the land. It's about us having a piece of legacy to support, future generations. Like, how can we help that land flourish so that obviously the land helps us? And this is what community is about. It's the same with, on all levels. So you can come and join us. They happen, frequently. It's an amazing experience. Totally love it. And then obviously we have my online community space, which is really about the growth and the expansion and digital marketing and entrepreneurism and inner work and solutions and creating wealth, understanding conscious understanding around being free and creating freedom money. So that's another incredible space to plug yourself into community. And if you've got a community out there, I'd love to hear about that as well. Like, get in my inbox. I'm all about it. There's lots of thriving communities being built now, and I'm so grateful that where I go around, when I go traveling, I'm always welcomed in community, and that's where you're in a good community, when you're totally welcomed and celebrated and like, hey, come on in, let's check, come and be a part of this with us and see what's here. So if any of these communities appeal to you, like you want to come and join us and check it out, you can inbox me at the Uncapped Potential page or Alana G on Facebook. or you can find me on Instagram, Alana G _ the Uncapped Potential. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you loved it, please review me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube too, so go and check me out if you want to see me speak if you haven't yet. See me in the physical form. I look forward to seeing you and speaking with you on the next episode. Alana G.